Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Minnesota Bass Nation Team Trail show. This week, we are joined by all of our representatives from the Team Trail National Championship last year. So we got our first, second, and third place team, someone from their team. So we got Mr. Nate Nipper here.
What's going on, guys?
We got Dane Vocelka and Aaron Teal.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
And then Brandon Cizek representing for him and Jim. And he's muted right now, but he'll get there. No. We've been working through some audio issues with him, but we'll check in with everybody. So with these shows, like we've kind of talked about even in the first one, Team Trail title sponsor this year's Omnia Fishing. I do not know what their spring sales special will be this week since this will be out next week. But yeah, we all get a lot of our tackle from Omnia. That's no... none of us hide that. We buy a ton of Omnia tackle. So everybody knows what it is in Minnesota. Support them. We're coming up on Classic Week. I'm sure there'll be some really great sales. And but first of all, we're going to dive into this. So boys, last year was the national championship down on Lake Eufaula, right? When did you guys all go down? And can you actually, I guess first part is, do you guys want to explain to everybody like what it is qualifying for the team championship, what those steps are, and how you kind of advance that way? If you kind of want to, who wants to tackle that and maybe add to it?
Go ahead.
Take it away. Take it away, Teal.
You guys have done it multiple times. You're the experts at this point.
Bueller.
Yeah. So you start out by fishing 4 regular season events, and you need to qualify by placing in the top 3 points. Per our new field of 80 boats, it may be the top 4 teams this year. Bart, do you know information on that?
It'll be 3 or 4, not sure yet. Bass Nation's kind of juggling some stuff up currently.
So after solid 4 finishes, in a TOC event, you qualify yourself to fish a national team event where you're fishing against the nation's top, 250 teams from across the country to fish for the final spot in the Bassmaster Classic. So it's a huge honor to be able to qualify for that tournament. And it's an amazing experience just to be able to get there and fish against that field of accomplished anglers. And man, it's all about consistency, and it's about your worst tournament really in Minnesota when you fish the team trail.
That was a good way to summarize it. Nipper, you got anything to add with making it?
I don't think so. I couldn't agree more. Well done.
Perfect. Look at that, Dane. Look at that. All right. So when did you boys head down there? Kind of what was that process? It was in December, right?
Yeah, and it was Hartwell, not Eufaula.
It was Hartwell? Oh, It was Eufaula 2 years ago. That's right. Good point. My bad.
It's all good.
I was thinking of the last Bassmaster Open.
I think we all kind of rolled in about the same time, if I remember right. It was the day, pretty much the like late afternoon before practice, because I think there was only, it was like 2 full days and 1 most of a day for practice that was official. And I think we all kind of rolled in that afternoon and got some rods rigged, had a couple beverages, and just kind of hung out and got ready.
Our Airbnb was pretty cool for that one.
It was sweet.
We were right on the water, so just Hartwell, South Carolina is a beautiful spot. Challenging fishery, but beautiful place to fish, and it's nothing like Minnesota. So
yeah. So then you guys, I guess, kind of, we were talking about this last night with like Andy, Mike, Cody, and Forrest. But like with the team trail, like we're all pretty tight, and like it's a pretty close group of people who fish and end up, when you end up advancing, you guys all stayed together, right? I know Brandon's trying to get back in here eventually too to chat, but he's having Wi-Fi issues. But you guys all stayed together. Who was all staying there, and what was that experience like traveling to Minnesota with everybody?
Think about it every day. We had a blast, man. It was a good crew.
It was, and there are good friendships and tight friendships throughout the team trail, and I'll call them tight knit circles, but that circle grows every year as more and more anglers and teams join the field. And at the national championship, we were really able to get to know everybody, and there were other Minnesota teams down. I believe they qualified through the TBF or
I think so.
Am Bass or something. So Ron Mayer and his partner were down there too. And we had a house where all of us could bounce ideas off of each other. We could make meals together, cut the cost of traveling and, living in half, really. And then, it just felt like a tight-knit family. It was cool to get to know Dirk and Nate a bit more. And
likewise.
Yeah, and Brandon and his
Jimbo.
partner and all the good things. Even if we didn't do the greatest in the tournament, it was worth the drive to build those friendships
and
up.
Staying motivated with you guys waking up at like 4:30 every morning, getting out there right away. I'm normally not that dude, but it's like, well, I got to keep up with these boys, so I appreciate that part too.
Of course.
Well, I think like it's good to get out of your comfort zone, and like Hartwell is definitely, I would say, out of a lot of our comfort zones as far as types of bodies of water. So like just the opportunity to go like learn more and have the opportunity to qualify for the Bassmaster Classic, but at the very least learn more about a different type of fishery or a different type of bass, even with the spots down there, is just something that it is truly, something to experience. So
yeah, and I think it takes a lot of pressure off too. Like, my experience not having been at the national championship, but with the opens and stuff, like when you're staying with people from your home state and you're like, can actually just chat freely because you're all like, we are fish out of water here. I have no idea what is going on at this place. It's very different, and being able to like have a trust tree and talk freely with people, I think it just helps with that learning curve and everything so much. Definitely a cool experience. So how many practice days did you guys have then?
2.5.
Yeah.
2.5. Yeah.
Okay, so you have 2.5 practice days, and then is it an off day and then 2-day tournament, and then it gets cut down, or how does it go?
You basically break it down to 2 travel days down there, and then 2.5 practice days, and then you have 2 tournament days, which could lead into 4, and then 2 days of travel back home. Is how that whole week broke out.
There was just the meeting on the kind of the half practice day. I think we had to be off the water by 1, 2, something like that. And then the meeting was a couple hours after that. The meeting was in like flights. And then, it was just rig up and go fish a 2-day derby, and then it restarts, and then there's another 2-dayer.
Gotcha. So, I obviously we didn't send someone to the Bassmaster Classic. People know that now. But how did practice go? How did the event kind of go for you guys?
We had a pretty good practice, but unfortunately the weather changed a bunch from practice to tournament day, and those fish down south definitely, they're very receptive to that with the bait and all of that. So I think it was a tough go tournament day, but we felt like we had something a little bit figured out going into the event, but always a humbling sport, right?
Throw a couple fog delays in there that didn't help. I know for sure it bit you guys bad day 2 when I think we had a 4-hour fog delay.
Yeah,
for sure on the second day of regular competition. And when you're on a lake like that and you're trying to run to a spot that's 45 minutes away and you only have a total 4 hours worth of fishing to do, that just it's a grind for sure. That was that fog delay was brutal,
and I think everybody in the house came to the consensus that there was quite a good morning bite if you could get on it, and I don't think anybody got to fish a morning window the whole tournament, so that was a little unfortunate, but everybody's fishing the same rules and all of that, and it turns out this one, it was a little bit of a local, locally dominated event, which you would expect it to be with shortened time and stuff, and Spotted Bass ended up winning. But when Dane and I went there in 2019 when we qualified, like guys from Missouri won, a couple teams from other states or other parts of, the country, won or had success there. So it's anybody's tournament, and, there's always going to be advantages and disadvantages, and you just got to roll with what you got and what you're good at and what you feel's right, and let the chips fall.
Brandon, do we have you back?
God, I hope so.
I'm here, I think.
Yes.
Yes, we got him. All right. So, Brandon, what was it like traveling with these goons down to, is it North or South Carolina?
South?
Yeah, South. It was an absolute riot the entire week. I just I don't know that I've laughed that much in my whole life.
So, had you and Jim been to like a national championship or anything out of the state before? Or was this your guys' kind of first opportunity at something like that?
I never have before. Jim's been to nationals and for the state tournament, won the state tournament a couple times and fished down there before, but that was my first experience down there.
Gotcha. So what did you, I mean, when you came and fished the team trail, were you guys like, I mean, your initial thoughts, were you just like, I just want to mop up on everyone and make some quick money, or like, were you trying to make a national championship? Be honest here.
I mean, my end goal was to make it down there. That was a big goal for us, I guess. Obviously we wanted to do good in every tournament, but making it down there was the goal.
I got you. So I guess we'll kind of go around the room here, but we can start with you, Brandon, since we have you right now. But like, what was the biggest difference between Minnesota fisheries and there, you would say? Like, what was your biggest adjustment you had to make when you got down there?
Well, I guess most every lake that we fish up here has got some sort of grass in it, and down there that's not the case. So it's a different ball game. I mean, it really opened my eyes. It's totally different fishing.
Yeah, like the closest thing to a traditional Minnesota weed line is our spot that ended up being decent was a tree line in like 55 feet, literally fishing like the inside tree line, because obviously those trees only grew whatever depth, and then there's a channel swing or something. So yeah, I mean, we're fishing, this way it's all trees, this way there's nothing, and that was the only relatability that I really found, other than like river fishing. Some of that largy stuff that I was doing reminded me a lot of like Wabasha, dirty river grinding, because there's current coming out of these cuts and stuff. So, but yeah, we were catching fish out of 50 to 65 feet on Damiki rigs, which I've never even remotely done. I'd be better off fishing lake trout doing that back here. So it was fun. I mean, I loved every second of it. Damiki Dirk made an appearance shortly. That was sweet. We caught a wiper. I know Cizek was all about the wipers and the stripers. I mean, he would have hung it all up. Just let's start a tournament for those, and absolutely. I mean, you can't even describe it. It was so cool, man. It was so different. What a beautiful lake too, when that sun actually came out for the 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I fished Smith Lake, which is obviously different, but that's a blueback lake. Did any of you guys run into any like crazy blueback stuff in practice or derby day? Like where they're actually like actively chasing them and blowing up on them? Because it's the craziest thing in the world if you run into it. It only lasts for like a minute. And you're normally not there at the right time, but you can normally see it in the distance and wish you were there.
A little bit in practice.
Yeah. So Dane and Teal, what
stripers that we're doing it?
That's right.
Yeah, the stripers will do it a lot. I'll never forget the first striper I ever caught was at Smith Lake, and I pulled up to this point. It was my first day of practice, and I was like casted out a shower blow, and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm doing it. I'm out over like 60 feet of water, and I think I hit that thing like 4 times, and it just got mutilated. And I set the hook, and it was just peel and drag, and I was like, there's no way this is a spot. But it was still so sick because they just killed it.
Yeah, if it was up to me, I'd still be down there catching striped bass.
What was your favorite way to catch them, Brandon? Just every way?
We caught everything that we caught in the tournament bass wise, we caught all spots, but I was just throwing a little Largo shad on a ball head, and just cast into little wolf packs of 3 and 4 of them that were just swimming around. And if you could make the right cast, you could get bit every time. But, Jim was throwing a drop shot, and we just basically live scoped around, and that's how we caught all our fish. But
Gotcha. What were you guys doing, Nate? Just Demiki rigging, like you were saying?
So here's a little bit of a backstory for you if you want to hear how small this world is. We have, what was there, 5 Minnesota teams that ended up going down there, put Putty and Ron and them boys in there. Well, 2 of the Minnesota teams happened to find the exact same 30-yard stretch of largemouth water. So we started fishing largies, and the night before, I'm telling you know, we had a fair boat draw the first day or whatever. And the night before, I'm kind of telling these boys like what we're gonna do. We're gonna start largies and then go do the spot thing in the afternoon. And I can see that Dane and Teal are looking at me a little funny after I'm kind of describing this spot. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I got a better boat draw. Forget, like, I'll show you exactly where I'm starting. And they just look at each other. They're like, what are the chances that we're starting in the same cut on this 120,000 acre lake or whatever it is? So we did. We went back in there because I had hooked a giant largemouth in practice like 2 days earlier, and we had caught a couple other nice, you know, three-ish pound largemouth back there, and we fished through it real quick, and it was just fishy. It was bitey. There's all sorts of stuff, and we didn't see a single boat back there go in or out of there during that whole half a day we were there. But anyway, tournament day, we ended up catching pretty much everything Demiki rig, and after that, the wheels fell off the bus, and we couldn't get the largemouth going.
All right. Well, Dane and Teal, did you join them in that cut then right away, or did you go do something else?
There was there's a staging spot, kind of more of I would say more of a number spot outside of that cut. And we started there, and I think, on day 1 of the tournament, Nipper probably would have had our whole bag weight if he'd have caught the one he lost, but we ended up having numbers off that spot. So it kind of, we played nice anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one way to do it when you didn't know you were gonna. Right. It's 120,000 acre lake. You're like, wow. But okay, so we'll move on to kind of talking about this next season here in a sec. But if you guys want to leave like one word for anyone who's maybe it's their first year joining the trail this year, maybe they fished for 4 or 5 years, or maybe they're thinking about joining. I think we have 2 spots still available. You guys got any words of wisdom for anyone who might be wanting to make it to the national title? Because I know that's kind of a lot of people's goal with making it there. Walt and Tuma have been pretty vocal about saying how it kind of opened their eyes to the whole opens route and everything. So yeah, if you guys want to kind of take that over.
Yeah, it's kind of intimidating being now the largest tournament field in the state, but there are so many things to learn and take from it. And we grow as teams every year, and we couldn't ask for a better group of 80 teams now. There's a lot of camaraderie. There's a lot of competition, but it's very friendly competition, and there's so many notes and exchanged ideas and techniques, and a lot of us own businesses, and we exchange and build each other up, and it's a really cool culture group of anglers that are just die hard, just want to fish more type of a group, and you really can't go wrong when you surround yourself with that many anglers that have the same mentality. And the tournament circuit is ran extremely well, and everyone that works with Bass and Bass Nation, makes it worthwhile, makes it worth the drive and worth the time. And, you can't complain when you go home with a little bit of money, and, you'll at least walk away with some knowledge if you stick around and speak with everyone that participates.
I think the cool thing about the team trail too is the diversity of lakes you go to. Like, it's probably one of the few trails in the state where you have that level of competition, along with, the difference in types of bodies of water, going to the river all the way up to a cleaner Gull Lake or Whitefish or what have you. It really allows you to kind of test your skills against some really good guys on a lot of different bodies of water, which, to me, it's all about continuing to learn and grow, and there's really no better way, in my opinion, in this state.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Teal. Brandon, you got anything to add?
Yeah, Teal pretty much nailed it there. Like, if you want to learn, jump in. If you're a one-dimensional angler, you're not gonna make it real far in the trail, because there are the best fishermen in the state fishing that tournament. So you got to learn how to do it all. And everybody that fishes on the team trail, they're the real deal. So
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree. Nate, you got anything to add there?
I think the boys pretty well got her dialed. I mean, it is like our little miniature version of the Opens, Like I've always been a fan of a circuit where you get the same guys showing up to all the different events where they don't necessarily have home field advantage. You might get a Tonka rat that has to go fish up on whitefish or what have you, and it levels the playing field a little bit throughout the season and gives you a good learning. I mean, we're still hitting lakes that I've never fished. It's the best run circuit in the state. And dude, we all had a shot at going to the Classic. I mean, how fun was it to get down there, hang out, have a couple beers right when we got down there, and we're all still thinking like, dude, one of us could be going to the Bassmaster Classic this year just from fishing team trail. That's sick. I mean, you're not going to get that anywhere else, and it's so well run. So that's really all I got to say.
Yeah, and I think the team trail preps you for if, like, when you get to the right venue at the right time, you'll fish against good enough people, and like if you're gonna make it there, you'll be ready to do it.
Are you guys hearing that tick-tock, click-clack?
Yeah, it's Brandon's mic, so I cut it in and out when he might speak and when he might not. So we just mute him, then we unmute him.
Okay, I just want to make sure it wasn't me, and
I think it was his. But okay, quick. Then we're gonna just go around the circle here to kind of wrap this up. And for any people who are kind of debating fishing this year, we're just gonna look into next year's season. I talked about this on the last show we did too, but one of the new rule changes we made was off limits for practice. So that was kind of made in an effort for people who are maybe intimidated or can't take off a lot of work. Basically, the only time or the off limits begins this Sunday before the event, so a week before at sunset. It is off limits until Thursday at sunrise. What is at sunrise? Just look at whatever official sunrise is. That's the way it is in the Opens. That's the way it is with every national tournament. Look at whatever official sunrise is. That's what it is. And then you'll be able to officially practice Thursday to Saturday at sunset. Reason for that change is just, like I said, in case people can't take off a lot of work, you only have to take off a few days to practice. There's a lot of teams who still only practice Friday or Saturday. But yeah, so that was a change for this year. We'll kind of roll through just a few of the venues for the season and see what you guys think. I know some of you have experience on some of them, and maybe not much on some of the others. But first off, starting this season, I believe it is May 14th on the Mississippi River in Winona. I believe everybody's fishing again this year. If you're not, I guess you don't have to chime in. But yeah, Mississippi River in Winona. So that's pools 5A, 6, and 7. And this is the only one we don't have a takeoff venue ready for yet. That is just because water levels fluctuate a lot down on the river. And Winona especially, they do. So one place could be ready, another one isn't. So we'll get it out to you and figure it out. But it will be in the city of Winona. So you'll be able to know that. So what do you guys think, Nate, Teal? And I think Brandon will probably come back. But what do you guys think heading into Winona?
I love the river early. I've never been to 5A or 6, and I've fished, I think, maybe 2 hours on Alaska. So I'm pumped to go see some new water again. And I really like fishing the river that time of the year. I think we all have a pretty good idea of what it's going to be about, and that's a lot of water to cover, man. So to piggyback off of your off limits thing, I'm all aboard about the little bit of off limits. Working for a living, it really does, like you said, kind of makes it a little bit more achievable for the regular guy to come out and have a shot. So yep, river should be sick. I'm pumped up.
Sweet. Teal, what do you think? You've been down to those pools before when we've been down there.
Yeah, late season. So I fished those pools late season and we had a good time. So I love the river in the spring, so I'm excited to kind of go in with a fresh mind going into spring, just kind of using your river brain or your river bone and going fishing. So
So something I want you both to touch on about the river, as we have a few open spots still. I know there's new teams coming in and everything. The big man, I don't even know how to say it, but like basically every person who fishes lakes in Minnesota, they're like, I don't want to go to the river. I'm scared of the river. I'm gonna hit something. Like what is your word of advice or something about the river? Like if you got something where it's like, hey, it's not that intimidating, it's not that bad,
Dude, you
or
can
anything
win.
like that. Like what do you have to add? Because most people who go there end up going, that was a lot of fun.
I mean, you can win off of the main channel or stuff that you don't even have to worry about. You know, the most of my experience has been in like that Wabasha pool 4 and 5, so it's a little bit jaded, but like I kind of think of like on Alaska is a little bit like Pepin. You if you have your wits about you at all, you're not going to hit stuff. I mean, it's no worse than fishing. Definitely no worse than fishing a Vermilion. You know, and the current's actually kind of sweet because you can generally see anything that you're worried about, you know, especially if you got a little wind or something. It's no problem. I mean, I've fished the river probably 100 times, and I've, you know, knock on wood, I'm an idiot. I've never had a bad experience out there as far as, you know, getting around.
yeah.
I've gotten stuck on sand or mud before, but
Exactly,
I willingly
yeah.
knew I was doing that. Right, Teal?
Oh yeah. No,
I
we
feel
get
like
stuck.
Teal's got a story.
Oh, I've got stories, but at the end of the day, I don't want to scare anyone off. What I will say though is the only way to overcome your fears is to face them head on. So you want to, not be scared of the river. You should probably go to the river more.
Yep, agreed. Okay, so then after the river, we will be heading up to Alexandria. So we'll be going to the Homme chain. We haven't been to the Alexandria area since we went out to, that's Minnewash out there. Waska. I always mix those two up. We haven't been out there since Minnewaska. I think it was like 4 years ago. So back out in the Alex area, we're going to La Homme, the Alexandria chain of lakes on June 18th. And we're going out of it's either Arrowhead or Arrowwood. I mix it up, but it's in Darling.
Be Arrowwood.
Arrowwood, yeah, that resort over there in Darling. That's where we'll be going out of for that event. But you guys got any thoughts about heading into La Homme?
Here, there's bigger fish in there than there was last time I was there, so I'm excited. Again, kind of a new thing. I fished Fishers and Men back there like 15, 20 years ago with Adam back there, and there was just a bunch of rats, but I've been seeing some big ones coming out of there the last few years, so I'm pumped.
Yeah, same. It's been getting. I'm going to be very open-minded going into La Homme because it's been about since I really fished it last.
Yeah.
But the zebra mussels have gotten in there, so I know like the grass is growing a lot deeper than it used to, and as Nate said, that the fish are getting bigger. You're seeing it with bags, bigger bags and stuff. So I think we're getting there at probably maybe just a really good time of year. Or it could be a little bit tough depending on how this spring goes. So I'll be curious to get up there and see what it's all about. I have no preconceived notions going into that one.
What are the dates? That's early June or mid June?
June 18th, almost the end of June.
Gotcha.
I think that one will be interesting because, I mean, depending on the spring, how we hit it and everything, you will very obviously have fish in like probably all stages at that point in time, more than likely. Probably more towards tailing, towards post spawn or even summer patterns at that time. But it's a time of year where there's a lot of things going on. And the thing about La Homme is, man, I think you could chuck a jig worm in any direction on that lake when you stop your boat, and I think you could catch a bass. There's a lot of bass in that lake.
I can go for that.
And it's just cool. It's a cool place. It's a cool community. It isn't huge, but it'll spread out really well that time of year, I think. But
yeah, makes sense.
So La Homme will be sweet. Excited to go back out to that area. I know we got a bunch of new anglers from kind of that area joining this year. Also, fun fact for you guys, we have states or anglers from 4 different states fishing this year. We have teams from Wisconsin, North Dakota, and we have a few teams coming from Illinois this year.
A few?
Yeah, a few. Yeah, so welcome.
I mean, there you go. That's your proof right there that you guys are putting on the right show for sure.
Yeah, no, it's
Making a
exciting.
draw. Cool.
So
Awesome.
with that, then July, I think one a lot of us are really excited for. It's going to be an interesting one. Mid-July, July 16th, we're going out of Leech, and then we're going to be going out of Shingabee on the Bay, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Restaurant. Did I say that right, Teal?
I've not. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that. It's not the public ramp we did before, but it's in Walker over there.
Sweet.
But yeah, what are you guys thinking heading into Leech this year? I just hope it's not blowing 25 out of the Southeast like it was last year when we came out of the gates.
I agree with that. I hope we get to catch some largies. Last time there, I mean, I didn't really get to play around with any largemouth. We were there during the spawn, and I don't know. I love largie fishing on Leech, so hopefully the grass is a little bit more grown up this round.
Yeah. Leech is a fun challenge. You've got a lot of different elements. You've got, shallow largemouth, you've got smallmouth, you've got, the musky factor, and then you have like the sheer size of that body of water. So you have a mobility factor that is definitely a player, and it's a big playground. So like there's a lot of different stuff you can do. And it'll be interesting now with us being able to catch smallmouth, because that's only, been about 2, maybe 3 years that we've kind of been able to do that.
Well,
so
last year's spring one was the first one you were really able to do it, other than like an MT3 or something.
Right. So it'll be interesting. That's kind of uncharted territory. So I think a little bit of a wild card, if you will.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued to see how that one goes. I think it'll be really cool. It's definitely a big enough venue for anything you could do. But yeah, it'll be a cool one. Walker's an awesome place, and it's kind of cool. Like I remember when we were there last time, it's cool to see bass boats take over that town. It's typically a walleye factory and muskie factory, and then you just see bass boats everywhere. It was pretty cool. That's a cool place. Everybody's hanging out at Benson's at night. And then to end the year, so I told the guys this last night, but I think one of the cool things about the team trail is how much Peter and the Bass Nation staff really listen to anglers. When we sent out that survey for everybody to take last summer, all anglers participated, and we made some changes this year based off of it. One of the changes that happened was we had our schedule picked out, and we planned on where we were going, and all of a sudden, 80% of teams clicked they wanted to go to Lake Pokegama. And we were like, okay, well, if everybody wants to do it again, we'll go. We hadn't gone that year. The year before when we were there, it was fun. So now August 13th, we're going to Pokegama. We're going out of Tioga Beach again with 80 beats or 80 boats. I think it might get a little crammed, but I think it can handle it. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. What do you guys think heading into? That's kind of the end of the year one. What do you think?
I have little experience on that body of water too, but I was one of those 80% of the teams. I had so much fun out there last time. Part of it is my buddy Josh Stanek lives up there, and he let us crash with him, and he had his family over, and we just hung out with those guys. That was great. But the fishing is, I didn't realize the smallmouth game that blew up out there. That was super fun. And then, I mean, a guy can go do some nasty things for some big green ones too. So I hope the green ones play a little bit more this time, and I'm pumped. That's the one I have circled for sure as far as having a good time.
I agree with you, Nate. It's such a fun lake to fish. I will say it's challenging too. It changes. So I'm really excited to get back there. And yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff can play. There's big smallmouth in there. There's giant green ones in there. You can catch them a lot of different ways. And it's just a very diverse fishery that way too. And I'm probably most excited for that one, to be honest with you.
Diverse is right. Yeah, I forget because you got the river, you got the lake, you got flats, you got 65-foot nonsense with, I mean, you can literally do whatever you want out there.
Yeah.
It is a very interesting fishery. It's gonna be cool. And we're not going there the same time we did last year.
Yeah.
Last year we were there in the middle of July. This will be more towards the middle to end of August. So like we seen when we went to Woman those few years in a row, like you change a few weeks and those fish decide to do very different things. So it'll be interesting to see how much the smallmouth play compared to the largemouth. The one thing with the size of that venue, I think, like I was chatting with Andy Walls about it because I was asking him if he thought it would be okay if we put 80 out there, and he said he was like, absolutely. I was like, well, why do you think that? He's like, here's the thing. The thing with Pokegama is the more boats you put out there, it's just the different fish you're going to have to weigh in. It can handle them. It's just going to spread the fish out. Basically, is what's going to happen. And I was like, that's kind of exciting. I think that'll be cool. You're going to get people doing diverse things and having to adjust on the fly. And then the last one, our no entry fee championship, that will be 2 weeks later, and it's going to be a 2-dayer this year. That was based off of a little bit of feedback on the survey too. Not a lot of 2-day events in Minnesota, so we thought this one would be fun. But we haven't officially decided yet, but I think it's only going to be 2 practice days too. I think you're just going to get Thursday and Friday, and we're going to roll right into the tournament. So not making people take more time off of work, but that's going to be up on Dead Lake in Ottertail County. We're going on a Northern Lights resort. And the whole reason we even get to have this event is because we're going out of a resort. If you know anything about Dead Lake, there's like 3 boat accesses and they can all hold about 8 boats. So since we get to go out of the resort, we're going to be able to have it. Very uncharted territory, but yeah, what do you guys think about making it? Obviously, you got to make it to the championship. I think you guys have both been in the championship every year we've had it. What do you guys kind of think about that whole event and everything, and now making it a 2-dayer?
Dude, first of all, that's awesome that Northern Lights is letting us do that. I think I've fished like 1 or 2 other tournaments up in Ottertail County, and that always seems to be the problem is where can you do it out of? So that's sick that they stepped up to do that. TOC is that's a big part of the team trail. I think it's just a fun, again, making it kind of a little bit more, it makes it feel a little bit bigger than, maybe what it is. Having a no entry fee TOC is definitely a big reason why I love the team trail so much. And then Dead Lake should be sweet. I've never seen it. But the little bit I've heard about it, scratch that green itch finally. I feel like we've had a lot of big smallmouth venues. So it's good to have a true, get out the braid, get out the big sticks. Let's go have a time.
Yeah. And I think you're right too, Nate, with before Teal, you can step in obviously too. I think there's one thing about the championship that's cool. And we all even said it when we were at Waconia for the first one is like that aura around it, even from that first one and then getting to Big Stone last year. And like, it's only 24 boats compared to 50 or 70 or whatever it was. Like, it's pretty cool. It's a very cool feeling. But yeah, Teal, what do you think heading into that championship?
I love it. Yeah, I love every championship that's not on Waconia. So
voice making me dizzy.
I like that. We're going to Ottertail County. I think that's like one of the sleeper counties just in general for bass fishing in the States. So, yeah, love it. Never fished dead in my life, but, hopefully there's enough bass in there for 2 days and the boys can buzz and have a little bit of fun. So
I think it's big. I think
Dude,
it's a pretty big
8,000 acres.
Yeah. I mean, I've fished Thursday night leaguers with more boats than we're going to have on that beast. So that should be really fun.
Yeah. I mean, part of the reason we're going there, honestly, like we keep saying with the championship, we keep going to venues. We basically want to test out and see if it can host a regular event.
That's cool.
This is one that's kind of been circled. Talked to a lot of people out there. Sounds like it's going to be big weights. Sounds like it's going to be tight weights, and should be fun. It's a cool lake. So I'm really pumped about that. But you guys got anything else you want to add kind of headed into the season for anybody who might be, I don't know, debating signing up or just heading into the season? You got any thoughts?
We're all itching. We're all ready to go. That's for sure. I mean, I would say if you're even teetering, you got to do it. It's so much fun. It's just the best. It really is the best show in town. It's like It reminds me a little bit of like the old Silverado Pro-Am days. I mean, it's the closest thing we've had in my generation. I mean, the Denny's, awesome. Love the Denny's, but that's one lake. I loved the NABC. That was my other favorite one. It was very similar to this, maybe not quite as well run and a little bit more travel because we went to Wisconsin and, some of the other, a little further destinations. So Team Trail really is the bee's knees. Super good anglers, absolutely well run, crazy good venues. You're gonna learn, you're gonna have fun, and you just got to do it. Just jump in. You will not regret it.
Teal.
Just do it. It's bass fishing.
Yeah, Teal's like, why would anyone debate?
I don't know what the question is here. Like, what's done is done.
How many years have you done it, Teal?
2019 was our first year, so this is our fourth year doing it, or
Right
fifth
on.
year. Fourth year.
Yeah,
fifth
because
year.
you weren't there the first year.
Correct.
Yeah, he came in the next year.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So now I actually looked last night because Nichols and I were talking about it. This is our 6th year now. So it's kind of crazy to see how far it's come from the first couple of years, kind of 20 to 30 boats and being like, man, are we ever going to get big events in Minnesota again to boom, big events in Minnesota again.
Crazy. Yeah. No, appreciate everybody at Bass Nation. They do just a really good job running these tournaments and, everything's smooth. So, fortunate to be fishing again.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Appreciate it. We'll be having more of these shows, kind of leading up to the season. We'll have some previews before our events, and then if we're in your town and you want to come check out the trail, you can come check out the weigh-in. We've actually had a decent amount of crowds starting to show up at events, which is pretty cool. I think that's always fun. Families traveling to check it out. So. But we're heading into the open water season. Thank you everybody so much for listening. We appreciate it a ton. And have a good one.